All right, everyone. I'm gonna make a short presentation downstairs, superintendent's report.
Yes, I have a much longer report for downstairs, but up here, I'd like to turn it over to, if we're ready, to Dr. Morgan and Ms. Via for their presentation this evening on our multilingual learners and all of the different initiatives the district has going on. I think it would be best if you could come on that side of the table. So you can sort of see the screen that you're presenting. And the people at home can see you on camera. That's the end of the presentation.
It's the
Conway.
beginning on my, so it's by this.
Yeah, we just.
Right up to the top.
Superintendent Weldon, the presentation is at the start page. Do you see that as well?
We see it now. Yes, thank you. And if you could just, the microphone is attached to the camera, so just, project your voice, please.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening and Happy New Year. I know I didn't see many of you. Ms. Weldon gave us an opportunity to go home and get out the rainstorm. So we are here to talk about the wonderful things that are happening in the K-12 ESL bilingual space here in Ocean Township. Next slide, please.
Next slide, Marianne.
It's there on the computer. That's the
It's a little delayed a minute.
it's like it's up on the one that's at home.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've advanced it.
Okay.
That would be great.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be true.
okay, thank you. So the goal here in Ocean for all of our students is to utilize the tools and resources provided to us. That includes tier 1 interventions, teacher coaches, mental health staff, student data, and intervention and elevation resources to help every student demonstrate meaningful academic growth. To us, that means that we're going to use all of our resources, whether it's our supervisors, our instructional supervisors, our wonderful superintendent, our business administrator, our board members, anything that we have, we're going to make sure that our students are successful. Next slide, please. Thank you. So here in Ocean, and I can't see, so I'm going to move over here. Here in Ocean, we have 5 schools with ESL and or bilingual students in each school. So in OTES, we have 62 multilingual learners. They are supported by a pull-out coach. In ESL and ELA, they co-teach. And in ESL, bilingual push-in for social studies, math, and science. So each school has different programs to support our students. At TOIS, we have 57 multilingual learners, and they are supported by an ESL level courses, and they pull out. We have ESL and social studies where they co-teach. And in grade 5, they push in with the ELA teacher, the social studies teacher, the math teacher, and the science teacher. Next slide, please. At OTES, our elementary school, we have 48 multilingual learners, and the ESL classes are supported by classes by grade level, and they are pull out. And then for our ESL, they push in. So again, let me back up because I went too fast there. ESL classes by grade level, they are pushed out, pull out, and our ESL, they also push in for ELA. For Guanamasa, we have 22 multilingual learners, and the ESL classes by grade level, they pull out, and there's also ESL push in for ELA and math. And finally, at Wayside, we have 58 multilingual learners, and the ESL classes by grade level pull out, and they push in ELA, and at Wayside, there's also a bilingual part-time ELA for math and for ELA and math, and that's into the classroom.
Push in.
Push in. Thank you, good question. Push in means that the ESL teacher goes in, teaches with the regular ed teacher, general ed teacher. Okay, so the general ed teacher, the ESL teacher goes into the classroom and they co-teach together. Next slide, please. Now I'd like to introduce Ms. Bila Chade, where she will talk about our Spartans as a whole, what we are doing in our schools and outside of the school to support our multilingual learners and our newcomers.
Buenas noches, I'm Cecilia. So when we started working on the presentation, I kept trying to keep up with updating the slides with the correct numbers. And so about last week, we had about 248 multilingual learners. By the end of this week, we'll have 253. So I kept trying to give you the most accurate numbers, but it was changing quite a bit. So that makes a 253 year to date, meaning the year starting, the academic school year starting July 1st through to today. Out of our 248 multilingual learners, we have 5 of them who refused either in part or in totality our language support services. So very briefly, because I can go down a rabbit hole and I'll talk to you about this. We offer services, we are required by law to offer the services, but it's within their parent or guardian rights to refuse those services in part or in totality. And there's a myriad of reasons why they can happen. Our twice exceptional multilingual learners who are participation in a special education program and multilingual and language support programs. It's about 30 of them, so 12% of that 248. Our total newcomer multilingual learners, 66, about 27%. And when I say newcomer, I'm referring to how it is defined by the state, students who have arrived within the United States in a US school system within the last 2 years. A total exits of this year is 22, and so there's different reasons why a student may meet criteria to exit a program. We generally measure their English proficiency once a year, as it is prescribed by the state. But in certain situations, we have the allowance to measure the growth of the student, and through the feedback of the ESL teachers, the content area teachers, prior to that assessment, we can exit a student if they meet the criteria and they no longer need service. And then we had 12 students who withdrew from the district. Next slide, please.
Do you want us to ask questions after, or do you want, it might be better?
I don't know.
Let's do after, that's
After?
okay with you?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Is right, yeah.
And so it is important to also understand that when we talk about multilingual learners or ELLs or ELs or MLs, it's really an umbrella term, right? And so part of understanding all the wonderful things that we're doing and all the things that we're achieving is understanding that they are all very different. And so I broke it down into 2 categories. The one is the home languages that are spoken at home. In the district currently, there's 32 different home languages. I noted the 4 top ones because those 4 top ones inform also the type of programming we have to provide to our students. So as you can see, Spanish, again, is about 50% of our multilingual learners, those who have been identified to be in our program. Then we have Portuguese, Haitian Creole, and Arabic. And then when you look at the other side of the slide, and then we're looking at this other identifier, we're talking about where they're coming from, right? I think a lot of the times there's this notion that if you're a multilingual learner, then you must be foreign. And so that is also not correct, right? And that it matters too, because they think their culture and their experience within US school systems, the different supports that we need to provide, right? And they come with different aspects. And so as you can see, the majority of our MLs currently are United States citizens, so we're born and raised in the United States. And then we have Brazil, Haiti, Honduras, Colombia, and then other countries as well. Next, please. I wanted to point out 2 pieces of data that I think that's what I think we have seen. I am new to this district, but I can tell you that in the 1.5 years that I've been here, I've seen a lot of changes, and I think it's hard to understand why we're feeling those changes without really understanding the 2 main things. So when you look at this slide, there's a comparison over the last 3 school years, so 2 full years, and then year to date at the top. And it's telling you in the full year of last year, we had a total of 72 multilingual learners join our district or become identified. The year before was 80, so it's a close second. But I want to highlight that is at the time that we made this presentation, it hadn't been a full year yet. we had already come very close to the totality of the last year. The other column I wanted to highlight is that term newcomer, because I think the shift we have also seen is that historically, I believe the majority of MLs we saw come through here were transfers from another district. So it was a lot of students coming from Asbury, Long Branch, etc. However, there has been an increase of those students who we previously defined as newcomers, right? Those who come from another country, those who may have never been in a school or certainly not a US school. And they bring a lot of assets, but also different needs that informs what we need in the district. And so I wanted to point out that column that for the last 3 years, it grew exponentially from 16 to 35 to 66. Additionally, we were asked to provide you some more data to put this even more into context. So if you take away these 3 last years and you look back at an additional 5 years before that, the total number, it oscillated between 173 and 196. So it never quite hit 200 of the totality of multilingual learners we had. Again, currently will be at 250. Next slide, please. So I'm focusing a lot on celebrating our newcomers Spartans because like I said, they come with a myriad of assets, but it's also important to understand then what is our job and what things we need to prioritize and we need to target. Because as you can see, nearly 30% of our multilingual learners are also newcomers, and that also has implications for those families that are not just new to our district, they're new to our culture in our country. And so as defined, they're foreign born, they're recently arrived, they are immigrants, right? And so coming into a culture that is also built by immigrants, I think there's a lot of commonality that we can find. They do play an important role in our culture here. And so those are some of the assets I was referring to before. Next, please. And so with that, then there are certain considerations that whereas we have had steadily multilingual learners here, and we have very qualified educators and we've created great environments for them, there are certain shifts we need to consider for this newcomers, right? And so we're talking about taking a look at our environments, right? What are things that they and their families need? Is our instructional practices, is our instructional materials, or is our instructional priorities aligned with what they can do and what they need from us? Social and emotional support, right? One of the big things, SEL, it is also paramount for us to really take a look at what are those cultural and social and emotional competencies that they need or that they thrive under, so then they can close the achievement gap and meet success. And just continue with encouragement that they can achieve difficult things. Next, please. And so to that end, I introduce you to our team. Obviously, they're not full pictured. And so we currently have 11 ESL certified district educators district-wide in grades K through 12. We have 1 bilingual bicultural certified district-wide, K5. Those 2 are completely different certifications. And we have 1 bilingual instructional assistant, grades 9 and 12, which she's pictured here. She's amazing, Miss Ortiz. Next, please. This year, another thing to celebrate. I think that being that we're a district and we pride ourselves in being very proactive rather than reactive, we were able to fund through grants 2 positions, 2 stipend positions. So keeping in-house talent, right, and supporting them support our learners. We were able to select our bilingual parent advisory committee or teacher reps. And so we have 2 K5 ESL teachers, Andrew Sodi and Andrew Donner, who are amazing and have been doing amazing work. We just opened up the space for them to carry on that work, supporting the schools, supporting the students, and supporting those families. At the intermediate school, we have Enriqueta Duncan, who's one of our world language teachers, and Michaela Geminiani, who's also an ESL teacher. And then at the high school, we have Liz White and then Allison Kyle. And in addition to that, we were able to also fund a community outreach coordinator, Ms. Heidi Costa, who's an amazing instructional assistant at the high school. I believe she speaks 4 different languages, and she has a tremendous grasp not only what the students need, what the students need emotionally, but she's had a network of contacts that we're trying to leverage to build that support in the community for our families. Next, please. Great things to also celebrate beyond the classrooms. It is an amazing group of teachers. They hosted our fall 2023 parent resource fair. We are having a virtual webinar series in the Spartan Partners in Learning as well. We're building a parent family video library. In the spring of 2024, they are organizing a game night for welcoming these newcomer families, welcoming our current families, kind of building that network of support. And then we will hold one of our BPACs, so bilingual parent advisory committee meetings are innovation. Sorry. And so some of the goals that we mean to achieve by the end of this year is continue and increase the partnerships we have with local agencies and organizations. We are currently working on designing welcome packets with relevant information, resources, to have a registration to hand out to new families as well. And then OTHS is in the works of creating a winter closet to have some clothing for students who may not have experience or winter. Next, please. So another big celebration. Last year, we were able to pilot 2 of these instant language assistant devices, or ILS. Essentially, there are 2 tablets put together who have the interface that allow not only for text to text and one-to-one interpretation and translation, but also speech to text in over 200 languages. And dialects within those languages. And so once we were able to pilot it and get the funding, then we were excited because now all the schools and the central office have 2 devices. And so they've been used at the main office as space to the community, but they are also used in the CST teams, guidance to support with parent-student interactions, a myriad of different things. Next, please. And because who does not love a testament? She should be getting permission from the company. She has learned it. She is really someone who has really run with it. As soon as I saw her thrive with it, she kind of took the lead and she helps all their main office, all their support. She is wonderful with that, but I think that the highlight was we do have educators wanting to do the work. And it was a matter of giving them the tools so they can do that. Next, please. Yep.
So thank you, Cecilia, for that wonderful presentation on our numbers and our students. So now we're going to talk about how we are supporting our students in the classroom with our teachers. Our teachers are the most important people in this, right? They are the ones that connect with the students every day. They see them every day, although I may be in the buildings, but I'm not the one that's talking to the students. I'm not the one that's teaching the students. So we want to be sure that we do all that we can to support our teachers. We are doing that by implementing updated multi-tiers of support. What does that mean is that we are making sure that we are using student information to support them. We are making sure that we are looking at their academic needs as well as their social and emotional needs. Before we can jump into any intervention, we want to be sure that students are receiving the English language instruction in the classroom before we say they need intervention. So we want to be sure that our ESL teachers are pushing in or pulling out, but we want to be sure that our students are integrated in the classroom with our general education students. So we want to be sure, let's go back. Leveraging data protocols. This is something that we're starting with our assistant principals this year. We introduced a data protocol to them, and we're going to roll it out to our elementary and our high school, our elementary principals and our high school principals. So what is a data protocol? Let's just say I'm new to the district and you don't know anything about me. The first thing you should do is talk to my parent. Where do I come from? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And then you're going to do assessments at the school level. And then you're going to find out if they need help in math, or maybe they may be proficient in math and they just need English language instruction. Having data will help us to make great decisions for students. And this is not just for ELS, this is for all of our students. We want to be sure that we are meeting students where they are, and to be sure, and to make sure that we are providing an equitable education for all of us. Cohorting, I'm sorry, we're still here, right? Oh, cohorting MLs according to their participation. So many of our MLs come, as Cecilia stated, from many different languages, many different skill sets. So we are cohorting students according to their program. So if they are an ESL student, third grade, we would probably put 3 to 4 third graders in that one classroom where they can receive support from each other, as well as support from the general education students in the classroom. Increasing collaborative partnerships. This is where I'm most excited because we are now starting to work with our general education teachers and our ESL bilingual teachers to work together to provide support to our students. Push-in, I believe, personally, is one of the best things we could do for students. I understand that we are not there yet where every teacher cannot push in, but I believe that if teachers push in and co-teach with the general education teacher and the ESL teacher, then our students would be successful. Not just the ESL the student, but all students. Next slide, please. I'm sorry. This is where I am most excited. There's an old book that I read, and many of you who are educators probably read it. If you don't feed the teachers, they will eat the students. So, what I mean by that is that we have to provide support and professional development to our staff. This is new to all of us. I did come from a district where I had a high population of ESL students, but it took us maybe 10 years to get to the point where we had co-teachers in every classroom. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight, and we understand that. However, we want to be supportive to the people who are the boots on the ground, and those are our teachers. So Cecilia and I, maybe back in September, and we're like, what can we do? How can we provide PD? And Cecilia gave me someone that she knew, and she gave me a quote for $30,000. So that just went out the window, right? So then I said to Cecilia, okay, who do we have here that can do this work, that can do PD, support our staff, train all of us? And so she said, we can do that. So we started to talk about it. So here we are with the inaugural Spartan Multilingual Academy, taking place on February 16th. So during that academy, we would be a full service full day in service for all of us, including myself. I hope Ms. Weldon gets to join us in some sessions. We are looking forward to providing our classroom teachers, our special area teachers, our child study team, guidance counselor, instructional assistants, our interventionists. Everyone who can come, everyone who's assigned will receive professional development on how to support our multilingual learners. 238 people, right?
Taught by our staff.
Taught by most our staff, and yes, our staff.
We do have a guest speaker though.
I'm so excited about it. Very excited about that. So yes, so the topics, as you can see, supporting ML newcomers through culture responsive practices, twice exceptional MLs. These are students who are possibly ESL and special education, multilingual differentiation, accommodations and assessment, collaborative practices, how to work together, ESL and Gen Ed teachers, and ML supports within Wonders and Envisions. And we have a special guest. We have the executive director from the New Jersey Teachers of English to Speakers of Other Languages, New Jersey Bilingual Educators. That is the association that Cecilia belongs to, and the executive director will be coming in to speak to us that day. So we are very, very excited about that.
Sounds great.
Advance was.
No, I'm sorry.
Advance.
I'm waiting for Mr. Gilman, I'm sorry. So once we As I just stated, February 16th is a big day. However, we understand that we still need to move, right? We're not gonna be done with this. Many other trainings that need to take place, many more supports that we need to provide. So we are looking into sheltered English instruction, training and coaching for our teachers, increasing the participation in the Seal About Literacy program, extending our collaborative partnerships to all content areas. That means the PE teacher should be working closely with the ESL teacher on how to implement strategies in a PE class. It's just not English and math. We wanted to expand it across all subject areas. Enhance scheduling to make sure we are maximizing our scheduling so that our students are getting what they need. And again, it's all about equity. It's not about getting, everyone don't need the same thing. We need to be sure that our Ls, our multilingual learners, and all of our students are getting what they need, and our schedules need to reflect that. Build community awareness and family engagement. The resource fair we had in October, although I thought it was well attended, they told me that it could be better, and we're gonna make it better. We reached out to community people out there who came in to set up tables, and our families had a chance to communicate with them, social services, whatever they may need, we were there. Family engagement, we definitely want to bring our multilingual families into the building, make sure that they are participating in all of our school programming. So we want to make sure that we extend that invitation out to them and try to encourage them to come. I'm looking forward, we had a meeting yesterday and we talked about innovation night, so that's gonna be really big this year, so I'm excited about that. Next, please. So this concludes our presentation. So this is again a celebration of everything that we've done. However, we need to understand that we still have work to do, and we're looking forward to that work. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Really. Are there any questions from the board? Mr. McCarthy?
So the total number of newcomer MLs that we identified in the population goes from, you pointed this out, went from 35 to 66, right? Almost 100% increase year over year. Do we know, is that a unique Ocean Township thing? Is that a Monmouth County thing? Is that a state thing? State, so you're seeing this in your district as well?
Yes.
Wow.
The district I was previously at was Forest County, or it was Morristown. I wanna say.
Morristown, MOORES?
Morristown, not Morristown.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I wanna say it was about 4 years ago, we had an increased enrollment of 300 students over the summer. And so what I think has happened is it's rolled out, and so it's moving towards from big urban city centers.
Yeah.
With CISs and places like that, and then it's moving towards places with affordable living, great schools. And so the increase is new to us, but it's not new as a whole. I think the projection was that in 4 years or 5 years, with not 2020, 2030, 1 in 4 students will be multi-learners.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Mr. Weinstein?
Yeah, so based on that, and I guess we're anticipating an increase from 66 to some number, could be 100. Is the program that you have now, is it gonna be taxed, or can you scale okay? Do you need something else? Like, is there something different you do when you go from 66 to 100 or 200? Like, what's- No, I don't, first of all, it's not a pop quiz. So what I was actually wondering is, when we're going budget exercises, are those discussions gonna happen to maybe solve the problems not only for next year, not the problems, but the challenges in next year and the year after, or is it like we take it 1 year at a time? Is that, how do we view this?
Right now, when we had our budget meetings with our supervisors, Cecilia did come with her list of recommendations. Ms. Weldon and Mr. Hastings took her recommendations. and we're waiting to know how much money we would actually have, but we did request a number of teachers and supports so that our MLs can be successful, and it is necessary, because right now, unfortunately, we're not doing what we should do, because we can't at this moment. So I'm hoping that with the budget, we will be able to at least provide an additional staff member, and possibly the next year, because as we continue to grow, new staff will.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
So I guess what one is, well, I guess we'll see this when we go through the budget and
Yes.
everything was thinking, right? So. And I guess the other part is just on the social emotional learning side. I guess part of the challenge is that as this group gets bigger is culturally the school district changes somewhat, right? So are there things that we should be doing more proactive now to kind of soften that? So there's more acceptance, or is that someone?
You let me know.
We talk, Cecilia and I talk about this, because again, we come from areas where we serve this
Yeah.
population. So we did talk about culture responsive training for our teachers. We can't say, you know, those kids or these are not our kids, these are our kids. If they're in Ocean, these are our kids. And to be honest, we all don't know how to educate them. So it's a learning curve for teachers and administrators. So we're talking, I'm in the planning stages of our administrative retreat, and I'm looking at, you know, whether I'm gonna focus on data, culture responsive teaching, both, because both of those are necessary.
And if I may, some of the things that we're currently already doing, so Allison Connolly has
Yes.
partnered up. We're leveraging our in-house talent, right? So we all know that you have to leverage your positive deviance. And so what we've done is I found them all and I put them in a room and I said, well, all hands on deck. And so it's really been a process about seeing them update their practices. So it's not about getting new, different things. It's about upgrading the things that we do. So someone like Alice and someone like Tina, themselves have taken it to support that. So Allison does come to department meetings, right? Like we're already working for creating those spaces. But yes, at a larger scale, we're currently ending towards the tail end of our ability to be proactive. And we're gonna start having to become reactive. And so as much as we can get ready,
Is there a district that we can model ourselves, that might be like a little bit of a wave in front of us that has done it right?
I think that there are a multitude of colleagues I'm in touch with in our area who have seen similar things, but they're further ahead, but they're still having to update. Because one of the challenges here, and again, I could talk for hours, but I'm gonna be quick, is we're not fostering bilingual children because we don't have bilingual educators to do that. That's why we don't offer. It's not because we don't know. It's not because we haven't tried. It's because there's no bilingual educators for us to hire.
So you're not just saying Ocean, you're saying out.
As a whole, right? As a whole. And what that means is we don't have bilingual adults coming in our schools. So it's a cycle. So we're all, even the most successful bilingual programs are currently being dismantled because we don't have the staff to support it. And so we're all coming to plan B, right? And so a lot of the models we have already set the baseline here are the models that a lot of other places are building. I just think that because they have had a larger population over time, they've been able to afford to do certain things. So we're just getting ready to do that.
I'm gonna have to cut the questions only because we have to go to workshop, but if you do have questions that you like answered, just email them to Ms. Weldon. You know, I think you're handling that too.
And just a
And
point of
she will-
clarification.
She will get.
I will, but I do, just for anyone listening in the public too, the two staff members, Ms. Villa was just speaking about our equity coach and our SEL coach. So these are our teacher coaches that they provide job embedded PD to our staff. They work with our instructional coaches who also do the same thing. That's on site job embedded PD for our teachers on a daily basis. But I just wanted to clarify who they were speaking about.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
That's
Great job. Thank you so much.
All right, with that,
Okay, that concludes my report for the night.
Mr. Hastings?
Thank you, Madam President. just one area to touch on that sort of came out of this presentation as well. The state released guidance updates to its election and budget calendar for the coming year. We're working on, as you know, the 2025 school budget. The governor is presenting his budget to the legislature on or before the 4th Tuesday of February, which this year is the 27th of February. 48 hours after he gives his address, the state will release aid to school districts across the state. Districts across the state again are required to present to the county offices their tentative budgets by March 20th, which is Wednesday. We have a meeting on March 12th, so we'll be presenting that to the board on that day for approval. That's the tentative budget that goes before you for initial approval. Once you approve the tentative budget, we send it to the county. County works with us with any questions, with any suggestions or changes they might ask us to make. And then between Wednesday, April 24th and Tuesday, May 7th, which is about 2 weeks, we have to do the public presentation of the final budget to you and to the public for approval. And then we move forward with that for the 2025 budget. So just a little forewarning, I guess, over the next month and a half, 2 months, we'll be having lots of conversations with you about budget and where we're headed and what aid will look like and you know, what adjustments we may have to make. As you heard, there's lots of great things going on and lots of needs to support our community and support our students. But unfortunately, there's also limited resources to apply to those things. So it'll be a challenge for all of us. And I know we all want to do the best we can for our students and for our community. But there will be some hard conversations based on the funding we'll get from the state. And again, with the S2 bill entering its final year, we probably do expect another cut in our state aid. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Yes.
action items.
Sorry.
You heard us too.
Should be on top of my game, but I am. Yep, I just present items 6.1, 6.2 for discussion.
Questions? All right, let's move on to financial management. Mr. Weinstein?
So I guess, what do we say, 8.1 to 8.8, any discussion or, Jeff, would you like to highlight anything on that list?
Yes, I would just note that we've had discussions in the past about our substitute rate and doing what we can and looking at our neighboring districts and looking at districts across the county in terms of what rates are offered for substitute teachers. We are part of a group that shares that information across various districts. And we've sat and then looked at those numbers and we'll be recommending to the board under item 8.7 increases. As you can see in the table, basically daily increases from $100 to $150 a day. And then there are increases associated with standard and or certificated or provisional teachers that we would hire as subs, as well as updating our substitute nurse, which again is another difficult position to fill, whether it's a full-time position or a substitute. So we're increasing those to make them more competitive and hopefully attract more folks.
Mr. Weinstein?
So is that comparable?
It is. I think we've seen rates as low as $90 and rates as high as upwards of 200. So we're in the ballpark there. So it makes us competitive.
I'm glad to see this.
Ms. McGovern?
My question on that is that does not have to be bargained. It's not in the bargaining because it's outside of the bargaining agreement.
Correct. These are not association members.
Who do we lose?
Mr. Weinstein?
Who do we lose our, the substitute student, mostly?
Anecdotally, we hear Neptune, Long Branch, anecdotally, so 1 or 2 people reporting that to us that they would go there for a higher daily rate.
And those compare well to those.
Yes.
Okay.
And college achievers.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Just a comment, if you will, about the base bill.
Oh,
That is
yes.
beautiful.
Yes, information about stand-up base for our school.
That's all.
Very nice.
All right.
Yes,
Question?
items 9.1 to 9.4 for discussion. Any comments, Ms. Weldon? The new course, first of all, that AP, pre-AP course, I think is phenomenal. It would be helpful for the SATs, the ACTs.
So yes, we have our normal professional development, school field trips, early field placement memo, and then also annually every year, if the high school or the intermediate school is anticipating developing new courses or needing to write curriculum around new courses, they would then board approve those. So that's what you're seeing there, 9.4. For about a year or so, maybe a little bit longer, our math and English supervisors, together with the building leadership and central office, have been reviewing and determining whether or not to move forward on a course, which we have decided to move forward with. We do believe this will help build the skills that students need. We believe we're giving students access now to higher level coursework, but we find at times they're not prepared for it when they enter, when they walk through the door of access. So they need to be better prepared, and we think that this is one way that we can do that, among many other ways that we're working to do that, but this is one way. So that's what you see there.
Anyone else?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So I'm sorry. So the AAP algebra, since it's algebra 1, since we have a hefty group of kids that take algebra 1 in 8th grade, a lot of times, would they then take this? They could take this again and kind of repeat algebra 1, or they would still, and no 8th graders would come over to do the pre-algebra.
This is a pre-AP class, so it would,
Like, where does it fall between like advanced honors pre-AP, or like is it above honors for algebra 1?
no,
Or it's
the
below?
idea is to provide access to more students, not just honor students.
Okay.
So to get more students into the class, into these classes, so it would not impact students who are taking 8th grade algebra 1.
All right, anyone else have any more questions? All right, negotiations, we did an executive session, policy. Ms. Gilman.
Yes, certainly. This will be a second reading, 11.1 of the policies that we read at our last meeting. Any questions or comments?
Questions or comments, okay?
Yes.
And we will move on to public relations, Mr. Weinstein.
Yes, we're gonna have a discussion around the resolution for the School Board Appreciation Month. Which, nice little pat on our own back. Is that it?
We'll take it, we'll take
Are we
it.
gonna have a moment now? Yeah. Invite a moment.
Well, Mr. Hastings and I would like to thank you for all of your hard work that you do here and all the time that you give to our school district, so.
I'm not reading this, right?
You don't have to. Yes, I don't think we have in the past.
It's a little,
Yeah, you just have to read the top
motion.
little.
Yeah.
it's a little.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Read it.
All right. We will move on to old business. Is there any old business? Mrs. Talarico?
One more question, I don't know if this is old business or new business, but there's been a lot of talk at the high school regarding block scheduling that we kind of talked about. And I was just wondering, if we can get just a little bit more information about that, like about the feedback, the process, time frame. Cause I know it's like 82 minutes now, and then we're looking at 50 minutes, or is that more or less, or?
So Mrs. Kazuba and her scheduling committee began this work last year, maybe even a little bit before that, and they are still in the discovery phase. When they are ready to make a proposal, the board will get a full presentation of all of those details. But I do not believe she is ready at this moment to make a full proposal moving forward. She's still working with her faculty to weigh the positives and negatives to the different schedules that they're looking,
So it doesn't, it might be for next year,
not for next year.
it's not, okay.
Anyone else? Any old business?
Oh,
Mr.
I'm sorry,
Weinstein?
I'm new business. Sorry.
Oh, new business. Any more old business? All right, new business. Mr. Weinstein.
Hey, so, Ms. Weldon, So before every year, we've been having, I seem to meet with the technology team. We kind of get a little preparation context of the budget items, so I can. We didn't do it last year for some reason, I'm not sure why. Right? Maybe we can kind of pick that up this
Sure.
year.
I think we did do it last year. I think we did it with Mr. McCarthy, though.
Yes.
Chair.
Oh, I might not have been on the,
You were president.
oh, I might have been, in my,
You had another more important job.
Get it together, Mr. Warren, get it together.
Was I president?
No, you were, no.
No, I might have been.
Oh, it was right
I
after that.
Dark time.
Yeah, it was-
I guess I assume Phoenix that rose from the action. I guess that's right. I guess I
You were still in the.
I guess I assume you were.
So you were still down low. Yes.
So that's Mr. Hastings and Dr. Morgan now lead that committee.
Okay.
So I'm sure Mr. Hastings will reach out to you.
Okay, so
Send
something.
something.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, any other new business?
Along those same lines, planning construction, I just wanted to see if the committee, if I could email everybody and have a committee meeting just to go over just everything that's kind of been out there a little bit and just kind of catch up with our new administration and us, just on some of the things that we might want to discuss in the coming weeks and bring back to the board and stuff. So I will be emailing everybody on planning construction, just so you know, looking for a date that is available for you guys. We could do a half-hour meeting before. We used to always meet before meetings if we could, so instead of being here at 6:30, be here at 6, then you knew it was a half-hour meeting and get it done. So if we can figure out a date, maybe I will send it. Do that.
Sounds good? Any other new business? All right, is there any public comment? Ms. Conway, is there any public comment, anyone in the queue?
Yes, we have Mr. Rick Goldberg.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I'm Rick Goldberg. I'm at 21 Persimmon Road. I was reading the HIB report, and I was looking at the 2023 numbers, trying to compare them to 2022. But the overall initiated instances were 25 and confirmed were 11. But in the tables that broke them down, by nature there were 18, and by mode there were 32. So I couldn't understand how they lined up. Could you help me understand that?
Sure, sometimes it's multiple. There are multiple attributes to an incident.
Mhm.
So the
Last
numbers
year
on
they
top
added
don't
up.
But that,
The 2022
have
numbers did add up. So I was just wondering if it was just a coincidence.
I know that for this year, and I will say I did not closely examine last year's, but this year there were incidents that had multiple events. This I'm going to report out on at the regular meeting.
Just as a point of order, we're
Thanks.
not, this is something that we're not being answering, we're gonna allow them to direct this to you. Just to keep it fair to. everyone.
Absolutely.
Over.
Sorry.
Ms. Weldon is going to, if you could reach out to her via email, she will be able to answer your question better via email.
Very good.
Well, we are having.
Yeah, there will be, the report will be given downstairs. Okay, is there anyone else in the queue, Ms. Conway, or in the room downstairs?
There's nobody in the virtual queue, but there may be somebody downstairs.
Yeah, we have one. You can come.
Hi,
Okay, please state your name.
it's Alex Hayes. I know Mr. Goldberg said his address, but I'm not gonna do that. I know you don't have to. I also understand, in hearing, from Ms. Weldon that, you did answer a little bit of his questions. So perhaps the board chair can say if we are actually answering questions from the public, or maybe that's a slip, or maybe it's just certain members of the public you answer. and
So
members you
please forgive me, that was my mistake.
Was the point of order heard downstairs?
I'm sorry?
It's not a question to you, it's more of our rep who's down there handling this. Was the point of order heard on the auditory system downstairs?
No.
Yeah, we asked, can you hear me,
So there
Alex?
was a point of order that was presented when the question was being answered, stating that this is not the procedure that the the district is following anymore, just for the record.
We asked Mr. Goldberg to reach out to Ms. Weldon and she will get back to him.
Okay, so even though she started to answer him, she's actually not allowed anymore. She's not gonna be answering.
Exactly.
Okay, just making sure. So
Yes, thank you, thank you.
okay, I have a couple of questions. Long Branch, which is a school that has a lot of multilingual learners, they have the program where they tied up with a local university to get teachers ESL certified, and they actually paid for that. So I'm wondering if that's something we might be listening or thinking about. I have another question since I know you're not going to answer them. When will this PDF be online? And of course, since it's about multilingual learners, I'd love to know if it's going to be in different languages. Second question is 48 MLLs at OTES, 58 at Wayside. Some folks might think, ooh, Wayside has the most amount of multilingual learners, but as you know, I'm very fond of context. And actually that means that OTES has the largest percentage of students in their student body that have multilingual learners. So they have 12% compared to Wayside's 10%. And then in the presentation, I did mention that OTES has an ESL push-in for ELA, but not a push-in for math. But the other two schools did have for math. So that's a great concern of mine. If the largest school with the greatest percentage of ESL students, are they getting a fair share of their bilingual education and bilingual teachers rather? Another question is, Grace Ann Tallarico mentioned about the moving from the block schedules. I'd like to position maybe that this is something that the Board of Ed can actually implement. I was on the board for 3 years and not once did I hear that the high school was looking at changing that 90 minutes back to 45 or whatever you will. So if you are looking at it for the high school, I hope you consider it for the middle school, because I think going to the block schedule was the beginning of a lot of problems for our district where our scores and our competencies went down. I hope we really consider going back to the 45 minutes. So I guess I can put all of this in questions. I'm just checking to see, because I'm sure you're timing me. I'm wondering if any of the bilingual teacher reps, I know you had a list of like 8 of them. I'm curious if they're all bilingual. And I think this is my final question for now. Why does the presentation not include pre-K? But since nobody's going to answer me, I will put all that in a question format in an email for Superintendent Weldon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments and questions. Is there anyone else downstairs? Okay. Grace, yes.
Why did we make that change where we can't answer the public's questions? Because it seems like a lot more work now on our administration to take their questions here and then having to go answer them.
For 2 reasons. I think it's the most fair to do it like this because it allows the person that's answering the question an opportunity, whether it's Ms. Weldon or someone else, an opportunity to do the right research and give the correct answer. It also allows for the people downstairs to not feel, we can't be down there and listening to a multitude of questions, and it almost puts the administration in a very bad position because they don't have answers to everything. I'd rather have them get the correct answers than to have to give the wrong answers to people and then go back, correct them. It's just better to do it like this. It's fair for both sides, and it is a part of our policy. It has, we did it years ago and it worked very, very well. It's public comment. It's public comment.
But there's no response to the.
Well, I mean, it's public comment. There's no questions. A lot of districts don't take questions at meetings.
But they have to, right?
Yeah, just as a point of order, this is not an opportunity for this to be a discussion on for public comment with the. We won't bring this up in new business during the regular meeting or old business, that's where we can do that.
We're
But
gonna bring this
at
up
any point,
downstairs.
any board member is able to recommend a change to policy.
I just felt that it was fair for both sides, just to make sure that the person asking the questions gets the correct answers, and the person that is answering the questions has the opportunity to to find the right person to answer the questions. That's the bottom line.
That would be a board discussion. Since it hasn't
As a
been done that
president,
way.
no, as a president, you know, I can make that decision. It's one of the few things that I can do on my own because it's the way that the meeting is run. So that is why I did that. Okay, can I please have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second? All right, we'll see you all down here.